Uniform.com and BMRodds.com. What is going on, boys? What is going on? Welcome back to episode number 57 of The Lobby. As always, with us each and every week, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Donnie Rightside. What's up, Donnie?
Look, loving life, man. Tomorrow, Major League Baseball is back in our lives full time. The only downside is here is my Philadelphia Phillies already got rained out before the day even began for tomorrow. So they'll push their opener to Friday. But I love baseball for one thing. It's like, Sammy in a poker game. It's that long season grind every single day, a chance to get back in it with close to 10 games each and every day. I love it. I can't wait for it to at least get some of this warmer weather involved so we can get those hitting numbers that we like to see. But good time of the year, no doubt about it, boys.
Definitely so. Definitely so. And then moving on to Pipe. What's up, Pipe?
Hey, what's going on? Nothing better than March Madness down to the Sweet 16. A lot of favorites came in, several dogs in the 64 round, and here we are, man.
Yep, here we are, and let's get going. And then last but certainly not least, the man who needs to do something with his hair, looks like he just rolled out of bed, Mr. Samson George.
What's up, Bobby? I'm actually in the in-between phase. I'm going to Texas next week, Austin, Texas, for a
week. Really?
I'll be down there for 4 days. So,
sweet.
I took an extra couple weeks without getting a haircut so that I can have the fresh look for the wedding. So I'm getting a haircut next week, and I'll be down in Texas for 4 days next weekend. And shout out to the Rangers, clinched the playoffs yesterday, have a great shot at the President's Cup. And just like Donnie says, welcome back baseball, which means welcome back bad beats. It's always fun to get that first bad beat in the new sport for the year. Exactly. The bullpen loss, the no runs in the first inning, whatever degenerate drop revenge, there's a new way to find a bad beat. Let's make it happen.
Sammy, speaking of baseball, let's talk a little bit about that $750 MLB contest that JDS is running.
Yeah, shout out JDS, off his $89,000 win. He's generously putting up $750 of his own money. Top three prizes get paid. It is a season-long best bet contest, one play a day, minimum of 100. Plays per the year, a maximum of 125. You must be a baller or 500 posts to enter. There is a thread. There's already, 4 pages of conversation. Just daily post your pick, whether you're getting the odds, over, under, money lines, run lines, but no reverse run lines.
Okay.
And, max play of minus 250, max underdog of plus 250, best bet style. And first place 400, second place 250, third place 100. And JDS has already announced that if he has a successful baseball season, he might be 2-timing or 3-timing the prizes.
Wow.
So, to start, it could be up to $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 as the year goes on. So definitely more incentive to play that long strategic game. Don't say it's a free contest for $400. It could be up to $1,000 by the end of the year, a free contest to win real money.
That is huge. Well, thank you, JDS, and thank you, Sammy, for helping getting that organized for sure. But speaking of baseball, Donnie, let's go over the year. Before we even talk about opening day tomorrow, let's talk a little bit about win-loss totals, season win-loss totals. Do you get involved with them at all? I know, especially here in Vegas and offshore, when they first come out, there's some good correlations between offshore and between Vegas. You can get a little bit of off numbers. What's your strategy as far as season win-loss totals there?
To be honest, I'm a day-to-day handicapper. Same thing with every sport. Are futures fun for me? I don't find them all that profitable for myself because that's not what I do. Day-to-day baseball, ins and outs here, riding streaks, and also matchups from pitchers head-to-head. I very rarely, if ever, get involved. Same thing in the NFL football season. I find myself saying, like, hey, how about these win-loss totals? I'll take these. And I'm getting bashed over the head because I don't analyze the season schedule like it would come down to analytics here. It's almost like, okay, they can win this game, win that game. You take a look at baseball, it's a lot easier in the NFL to do because you're dealing with a 17-game schedule, not 162. Right. So just to be honest, not say, hey, guys, take the Reds total over this year. I wouldn't lead anybody in the right direction that way. I don't take any season-long futures here in Major League Baseball.
All right, that's good to know. Pipe, Sammy, you guys get involved in futures?
No, I just bet on the Yankees, of course. You know, they haven't won a World Series, in 15 years. They're sitting there at 9.5 to 1. So you got to sprinkle a little bit on your homie action. Typically for me, I only bet futures if I'm up money from somewhere else. So
Right.
sometimes I'll do something stupid, like I'll lay a minus 500, minus 600, which you should never do. But sometimes, especially in tennis, there's a lot of large money lines. So I could take a stupid large money line bet, hope that it wins. Typically, obviously, it should win based on the large odds. And then you take that win and dump it on a future bet. So I haven't done anything like that, but if I'm going to do anything, of course, it's going to be on the Yankees.
All right. So, Donnie, let's take a look at tomorrow's card. What do you got for us?
It's kind of a shame because one of my games did get wiped out. I was looking at the Phillies-Braves game, not for anybody to win, but the price point came out at 8, and I took the under, figuring it was going to be 50 degrees, some slight rain in the forecast, and a wind blowing in. I thought it was a great spot to match up. Two decent bullpens here, two dominant starters, and usually the hitters are a little bit behind the pitchers to open up the season. But I got to tell you, if we're just betting from a fan perspective here for our buddy Sammy, I actually like the Yankees tomorrow as an underdog on opening day. Two pitchers, two lefties on the mound. Nestor Cortez is going to get that start. I love the lineup for the Yanks. And why not take plus prices? If you're betting in the month of April, outside of RBI props, or let's just say total base props or something like that, you got to be taking the dogs. I'll take the Yanks as a dog on opening day. Is the only game left standing that I wanted to bet.
All right, Sammy, over to you. What do you got?
Yeah, he's absolutely right. When it comes to money line, especially.
Of course he is. He's talking about your Yankees. Come on.
Well, I'm saying on day one of the season, do you really want to lay minus 230 on the Dodgers, minus 240 on Arizona, minus 200 on Baltimore? And especially if you lay minus 200 every day, you're going to have to hit 70% to be profitable. So really, when I try and go with baseball money lines, I try to stick to small underdogs or money line favorites of minus 150 or less. Because once you get up too high, then you're getting too juicy, and then you need to hit at a much higher percentage. So I do like the Yankees, of course, at plus 135, and I like San Fran at minus 104 over the Padres.
All right, Pipe, you got anything in the MLB for tomorrow?
Sure do. I got one under, which is the Braves, and I like the White Sox outright money line.
All right, good luck with those, Piper. And speaking of Baltimore, shout out that horrible bridge collapse down there. It was horrible to see. Hopefully they can. I don't know what they're gonna, do with that, but it's just a shame, how that all transpired, and hopefully they can get that all resolved here pretty quickly.
Yeah, really shout out to the construction crew. They saved more cars from getting on there. From what I read, the people on the ship have enough food supply for 28 days, and they're actually going to be there cleaning up because they have to clean up the debris, make sure everything is as clean as possible before they can, start to build on a new bridge. I have no idea the time frame that it takes. I know America, is pretty lazy when they're building their buildings and building construction ways, especially if you look at 1700s and 1800s in Europe and all these beautiful buildings and churches and all this shit. And then you got, New York City and Chicago and these cheap buildings and stuff like that. I mean, this is a major bridge that's cutting off Baltimore. So I have no idea what the time frame is going to be on that, but that was crazy. It collapsed like Jenga. Like it wasn't slow and steady. It collapsed.
No, I saw the video at about 8 times speed, and I was like, wow, it went right down.
Yeah, that was scary.
Wild,
sadly,
sure.
six guys that were on there covering potholes aren't here with us today.
Yeah.
So shout out to those guys.
Yep, definitely.
Also, traffic. You got to everybody lives some close to a city. Like you cut off one just average roadway and it turns into disaster. What they say, like 30,000 cars a day go over that bridge.
Yeah,
the truck there. I don't know where that's going to happen in Baltimore. My goodness, the commute is going to be outrageous.
I was going to say something.
Yeah,
that's one of the biggest ports too in the state and the United States, by the way.
Yeah, for shipping and receiving of just good. That's gonna create a major turmoil.
Absolutely.
But, Donnie, moving on, Donnie, what do you got in the NBA for us tonight?
NBA tonight. It's a good card, by the way, overall. Some interesting games to line up, but I did pick out a few. I like the Orlando Magic tonight. Back-to-back game here for the Golden State Warriors, who picked up a victory in Miami last night, which is kind of a surprise. But then again, in the NBA, Jimmy Butler sits out late. They sort of got a free pass here. We'll see if that veteran team can hold up against Orlando. And usually we'd say to ourselves, what do you mean? Should be able to wipe Orlando off the map. Orlando's been very good this year, particularly against the spread and also at home. I'll lay those 4 points here and take Orlando Magic over the Golden State Warriors. Game game number 2, the Knicks and the Raptors. The Knicks are 13.5-point favorites on the road, still without their full starting lineup against Toronto, because Toronto's got an 11-game losing streak. But I'm actually not going to bet aside in this one. I'm going Dante DiVincenzo. Back-to-back performances, 31 points and 40 points, which includes raining from three-point range. I took his points prop over 20.5 in this game. Sooner than later, Julius Randle, OG Anunoby is going to be back, and certainly Jalen Brunson will always be in that lineup. But they seem to be letting Dante DiVincenzo do whatever he wants. So as long as he's average tonight, he'll probably put up at least 20 shots. I'll take him to go over 20.5 points. And then I'm going to take the Houston Rockets, getting 5.5 points tonight from the Thunder. Thunder down SGA tonight. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, their best basketball player, and on a back-to-back, the Rockets, the hottest team in basketball. I'll take them with the points today.
All righty, Donnie. Good luck with those. Pipe, you got any NBA action for us?
I'm also on that with you, Donnie, and I also like the money line. I think they're going to win that game outright.
Yeah.
And I also like Denver -7 tonight.
All right, good luck. Sammy, any NBA for us tonight, buddy?
Yeah, keep in mind with the Knicks, Mitchell Robinson might be coming back finally off his injury. He's been out for a few months. So that Knicks team is definitely getting healthy towards the playoff time. I still don't think they have enough to beat Boston, but let alone they gave up a 30-point lead the other night, which, like Donnie said, it's the NBA, so anything can happen. But I like 2 dogs tonight. I like the 76ers at home versus the Clippers. The Clippers are a very inconsistent team. Obviously, Joel Embiid's still not playing for them, but I think 76ers have enough just to cover the +6 at home. And I like Memphis +4.5. The Lakers had an incredible comeback win yesterday against the Bucks. Went into 2 overtimes. LeBron James supposed to be back in the lineup tonight, but considering they're coming off a 2 overtime game, back-to-back road games, I think Memphis should have enough to at least keep it close and cover that +4.5.
All right, Sammy, good luck with that, buddy. And let's jump into it a little bit here. Sammy, let's start out with you. This whole JDS controversy with WagerWeb. At the end of the day, thankfully, he did go ahead and he did get paid. Does it shy you away from any offshore stuff, Sammy? What's your take on it?
Yeah, shout out BMR for being able to help the players, help the forum, and provide that dialogue in between to set up JDS with whoever that top up was at WagerWeb, Larry. Yep. That's awesome. Now I've only went on one big run in my life, taking out $1,000, $2,000, it's whatever. I've only went on one run where I took out 25, 30 grand. And that was back in 2018. I've talked about it a few times. And that was with Bookmaker, and I got paid within hours and it was in my bank account the next day. So Bookmaker, I completely trust. I don't have any issues with, so there's no deterring me from playing offshore. But again, huge shout out to Lou, BMR Genie, whoever was involved behind the scenes at BMR to get that conversation going. $39,000 is a substantial amount of money to pretty much anyone. So, winning $50,000, but still feeling like you lost has to be such an eerie feeling that you can't really understand.
Yep.
So the fact that he got that extra $39,000, you could see it in his picks too. He lost 3 or 4 plays in a row. Now he's back in the stride.
Yep.
So, just
definitely helps his confidence for sure.
Everyone on the forum, Illini, Big J, whoever was in that thread, and keeping that conversation going, just great job and great job by WagerWeb.
Exactly. It's unfortunate, there are certain posters, out there that continue to shit on WagerWeb every chance they get. It's unfortunate. My take on it is, JD got paid. You probably don't even gamble at this sports book, yet you want to shit on them every chance you get. It's not right, in my opinion. You know who you are. Not going to name any names. But Donnie, let's go over to you. What's your take on this?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of different elements that go into some of these things that happen, but as long as we reach the result that we like here, sometimes it's tough to get across that bridge, and now we can on that. Look, I've been around the game a long time, offshore, inshore, whatever you want to talk about it. We see this pop up every once in a while, but as long as it gets rectified to the right situation and all parties can be happy, that's all I care about. I can't stand it, and we see it so many times. Bookmakers alike, somebody gets shafted, somebody's upset. Look, if you want to be a wager in the wager business, you got to be held accountable. And when you are and you come and pay up, that's all we look forward to, boys.
Exactly, 100%. Pipe, last but certainly not least, your take on the whole JDS WagerWeb.
My take is that probably if he wasn't on BMR or knew anything about a forum, he probably wouldn't have got it.
Yep.
But,
I think that's definitely played a factor into it for sure.
Well, in the end, all that really matters is that he won, he got paid, end of story, man. End of story.
Yeah. 100%. Speaking of gambling, Sammy, let's go over to you. Otani and this whole gambling issue with the translator, he's coming out and saying he's never bet on baseball, never bet on sports. What's your take on it? And ultimately, will it affect him and the Dodgers going into the season?
I think there is a 0% chance that he is innocent on this. He is 100% guilty. Basically, it's like saying if I make $100,000 a year and a bookie's going to give me $1 million line of credit, so $1 million, let's just say I cap that. That's 10 plus years of me paying back. There's no possible way that Ohanti is not a degenerate gambler. And there's no way that the baseball is going to penalize him because he's a $1 billion marketing guy between Japan and overseas and the MLB. It's an insane scenario, which should automatically put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, which is what everyone should have been saying years ago. Everyone has been saying for the last 30 years. It is a horrible situation for baseball. They put themselves in it. Every commercial sponsored by DraftKings, NBA, March Madness, hockey, BetMGM is all across the rink. Every sport is sponsored by gambling. You're going to have these controversies. Unfortunately, it was with the number one marketing guy in baseball. Now, I have seen reports that a lot of his player props for the year, like total RBIs, total home runs, have been hammered on the under because people think there might be a suspension in there. Baseball should do something. If they do nothing, it just makes them look like idiots more than they are already. But there should be some type of suspension, even if it's 25 games. There has to be some punishment. There's no way that he did not know what's going on. Do you not look at your bank accounts on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? Oh, $500,000 is missing? No big deal. No. False.
well, it's like that to us common folks, but to him, 500,000 is probably a drop in the hat.
Okay, Bobby, you lose $1,000 from your bank account. Are you not going to know about it?
I'm going to know about it for sure.
There you go. So 500,000, that's substantial enough, even to a multimillionaire.
Pipe, what's your take on this, buddy?
My take on it is that I bet Otani to win the MVP. I think he's not going to go anywhere, and I'm getting a hell of a value. Let me get that.
Hey. All right, Pipe. Good luck with that. Dottie, what's your take on this whole situation?
It's simple. We're gamblers. We're handicappers. You know who we can spot first? Other gamblers and other handicappers. And the one thing I always go with this is the bottom line. What if he's innocent from the beginning? Your story never changes. You don't have to sit behind an interpreter. Your story doesn't have to change 4 times. You don't have to wait 4 days to prepare a statement. If you ask me a question that I know I'm not guilty with, I'll tell you immediately and up front. The fact of the matter is that stories change multiple times. And also, this guy has a fleet around him. Talking about Otani, with money managers, business managers, agents around them. They're watching his accounts like hawks. Now, granted, he didn't just transfer $4.5 million one time. We're now led to believe this was multiple transfers of at least $500,000 for more. And Sammy is right. The guy, let's just say, was the previous interpreter, right? $300,000 a year, which is a great salary to be an interpreter. He lives in California, which means that number is actually closer to 160 is what he's clearing out here. We're led to believe let's just say an offshore book was lending him that much credit and not settling up. Offshore, they'd be settling up for you at $1,500, $2,000, $10,000. Like, hold on, we're going to wait. Do you know why that bookmaker was waiting? Because he must have got assurances, not just from the interpreter. No. I got to speak with the big man right here so he understands what's actually taking place, and those losses would be covered. That's where I come from here. There's no way Otani just woke up one day and was like, man, I had no idea my best friend who lives with me, 6 months out of the year had a gambling problem. Are you crazy? I don't believe it one bit.
All right, BMR Genie wants to know how your bracket's doing so far.
No brackets.
No bracket. Sammy, how's the bracket?
We're about to go into the Sweet 16 and go into the games. But you know what? When it comes to the brackets, I'm so mad at myself. I didn't diversify my brackets like I talk about, like we talked about last week.
Right.
I picked Kentucky as an upset pick, which is fine. But I picked them in all 4 of my brackets to reach the Final Four. Like, I didn't pick Houston or I didn't pick Duke in one of those other brackets. I had Auburn over Kentucky in a bracket for work. That one obviously is trash after day 1. But I'm just mad at myself for not hitting multiple strategies and multiple scenarios to really have a chance. I mean, after day 3, I was already out of all 4 of my brackets. Yeah, I still have my champion in there, but I'm already way behind the other guys. And with so much chalk that hit this past weekend, I'm already out. So just really shame on me. I'm already eliminated for all my brackets. So it's just on to gambling on the games for me.
All right, Donnie, how's your bracket looking? You in anything?
It's okay. I still have 3 of the 4 in my final 4 here, but I do have Houston winning the championship, which nullifies like 60% of the brackets because they'll have UConn right out of the gate. But it is a very chalky bracket. Usually I'm pretty chalky here coming into the tournament, but not as well. I picked a couple upsets here. So my bracket's not blown up, not terrible. They're okay, but I do have a chance here to make some noise. If UConn can get beat and Iowa State can advance past UConn, that's going to help me out a lot. But also, it's going to come down to Houston winning the championship. But the way we're looking at some of these big boys, Purdue looks great. UNC looks great. You're taking a look at UConn being a beast. Might be a tough scene here, but hoping now for some upsets.
All right, Sammy, let's jump over to the Midwest. Let's start with it. What do you like here? Who do you like advancing?
Midwest. So who's playing that one? That's the Purdue region.
It's Purdue, yeah, Purdue, Gonzaga, and then Creighton, Tennessee.
I got you. So on this one, I think that Gonzaga. So I kind of listed my plays kind of not by region. I just kind of broadly put it up there. So between the South and the Midwest, between Gonzaga and Duke, I see at least one of those two teams winning outright. I'm taking both of them plus the points. I do think at least one of them can win outright. If I'm picking one to win outright, I would be picking Gonzaga over Purdue, just like I mentioned last week. Even though Zach Edey's, goddamn, he's an MVP so far of this tournament. He's been absolute beast mode, 30-20. No one can stop him. So who's going to stop him on Gonzaga, I guess, is the question. And then as far as that other game on that region, Tennessee and Creighton?
Tennessee, Creighton, yeah.
I don't have an opinion on. I guess I'll just talk about everything. So Tennessee and Creighton, okay. Iowa State and Illinois, I don't have an opinion on. I think those will be two of the better games of the weekend. Definitely fun for live action, but I don't have any pregame action. I think Gonzaga or Duke, I'm going to take them plus the points. I like UNC 4.5 over Alabama. I think they're going to beat them up. And then I think from a money line parlay standpoint, if you take UConn, Arizona, and Marquette, you throw those 3 in a money line parlay, that's going to be my action for this weekend. So I'm taking 6 out of the 8 games with the other 2, looking at some potential live lines or second half plays.
All right, good luck with those, Sammy. Pipe, what do you got for us in these regions?
Well, I got several plays today. I got Seton Hall under 143. I like that play. I also like under Utah today, 145. Thursday, I got Illinois to beat Iowa State outright. And I like that Iowa under a lot because they're 12-4 their last 16, man.
Yeah. All righty, Pipe. Good luck with those. And Donnie, what do you like? Who do you like advancing here?
Yeah, I know we're not supposed to do this because the public is heavily invested, but I do like North Carolina, to be honest, against Alabama. I like the way they've been playing here, laying that 3.5 points, I think makes a lot of sense, even though roughly 9 out of every 10 tickets right now coming in on North Carolina, which is usually a doomsday, but sometimes you got to fall, and the public does get the best of the sharps every once in a while, and maybe they do in this ball game. But cheerleading-wise for myself, I need Creighton to win, I need Houston to win, and also I'm rooting for Iowa State. But a couple other games to take a look at. The upset chances this weekend could come. Clemson is just an odd team right now, playing great basketball, and we've seen clunkers from Arizona. Arizona way more talented than Clemson, but to be honest, I'm probably leaning towards that 7.5 and taking it with Clemson on that number. Again, rooting against Connecticut here. I don't know if San Diego State has the guns to hang with them. This is a repeat of last year's national championship game, and quite frankly, San Diego State is 3,000 miles away from this arena, which basically is in the backyard of UConn being played in Boston. But you know what the biggest pet peeve for me is? I know, Bobby, you don't have this problem, but us East Coasters having to wait till 10:09 for an East Coast tip between Illinois and Iowa State is ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous.
Well, Donnie, do you think that, this is a question from Teacher 10, do you think that St. John's basketball will ever be a powerhouse in your lifetime?
I don't know if it will. Rick Pitino's a great coach, but also Rick Pitino's not saying, hey, man, 41 years old, I'll be here for 30 years and build this program. He's probably only got 2 to 3 years there, which would be the tough part about it. And it is a little bit harder to recruit in a true inner city team like in Jamaica, Queens for St. John's. It's a great foundation. It's always been a part of the Big East and been a big deal throughout the 80s and the early 90s, falling on a little bit of hard times. I'm not going to say they're back. They're competitive now. It's great for college basketball. But in my lifetime, I don't know if St. John's is going to get back to the Lou Carnesecca days of the 1980s when the Big East was everything and everything in college basketball.
Sammy, same question to you from Teacher 10.
Yeah, when it comes to development of teams now, with all these conferences now changing, the Big 12 is now what, the Big 22, and the Pac 12 is the Pac 2. You know what I mean? So with all these conference changes and all these recruitment changes, you got to think at least at some point, there's not going to be a team that's 100 years that are bad. I guess we can go through history and find like the Boston Red Sox took 100 years until they broke their curse and stuff like that. You got to think within a lifetime, within 20 to 30 years, that a team is going to change and develop and find a way with recruiting and different rule changes, different conference changes, that'll happen. But Bobby, I'm going to swing the question back over to you from Teacher. He's actually got some forum questions involving. He wants to know if there's a limit to how many threads a person can make daily, aka JJ Gold rule.
You broke up. Is there a limit, or should there be? What was the question? I'm sorry.
Should there be a limit to how many posts?
Should there be a limit? No. No. Why should there be a limit? I mean, make as many posts as you want. I don't see any reason there should be any type of limit, and that's just my personal opinion.
And then he also wants to know, Teacher, is why there's so many posts that are not sports related cluttered on the main page and not sent to the basement or the sub forum.
Well, if you notice, if you click on Better Chit Chat and you view a thread there, and then you can also go to the individual sub forum and view the same thread there. So, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I don't really have a good answer for you. If you don't like it, well, I mean, I guess don't click on the thread and don't read it. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it.
I think the Better's Chit Chat is a combination of we're all guys, we're all adults, we're all men, we're all women. We want to talk about other conversations outside of sports because we have other personality characteristics and traits, and we involve ourselves a couple here or there, and then we go back to the sports threads. So it's all in one spot. If you don't, you just keep scrolling, just like if you don't like an Instagram, a TikTok, an X, you don't like you just fucking scroll through it. So, no problem with that.
Yep, 100%. Donnie, let's switch gears here for a second, talk a little NFL and their new rule changes. What's your opinion with these new rule changes as far as the kickoffs and then as far as this hip drop tackle?
A hip drop tackle is the stupidest rule I've seen in football, and that doesn't surprise me because the NFL does dumb things all the time. It's not, you're saying when the NFLPA comes out and says we don't believe this rule should actually be enacted, even though some of our players might get injured every once in a while. It's football. You still have to tackle. Nobody teaches the technique of the hip drop tackle, but you're asking now an NFL player to say, okay, let's just say a tight end is running down the seam and catches the football at 260 pounds. I'm a defensive back at 180. So I'm basically making a decision going, okay, I'm going to cost my team a 15-yard penalty or just let him run into the end zone because I can't tackle him and use my body weight to bring him down. Think about that. Like there are egregious penalties that need to be called. Back in the day, the horse collar tackle from the early 2000s, which was let me grab your shoulder pads, pull you backwards and slam into the back of your legs, hoping to end your career. That had to go. The hip drop tackle is an absolute ridiculous rule that never should have been put into play. And I can't wait next year when the referees don't even have an understanding. Like, remember how hard it was the past couple of years to say what is a catch and what's not? Good luck on seeing what a hip drop tackle is in the middle of a play when it's not even a hip drop tackle. Now, the second one, the kickoff rule, I actually like. It's a little gimmicky, but let's be honest with ourselves. The kickoff has been out of football for 10 years. Oh, kickoff for opening foot. You can just don't be in your seats, be upstairs getting a beer, grab yourself a sandwich because that football is going to get kicked to the back of the end zone and there's no
offside.
So I do like that now, the kickoff, because it adds actually a play of intrigue, which the kickoff has been dead for 10 years now.
All right, what's your take on these?
What was that?
With us? The hip drop NFL, the new kickoff rules and the new hip drop tackle rule.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous on that hip drop. Like Donnie said, I mean, how that's mostly where you tackle, right, around the waist, kind of like, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there's going to be flags on every damn play, then, right?
Seems like
probably so. Sammy, last but certainly not least, what's your take on these two?
Yeah, when it comes to the hip drop tackle, the most important thing that it's a judgment call. I mean, you could say what it is and what it's not, but then you're going to have all these replays, and then the announcers are going to be really zooming it in at 0.1 speed and going should it have been or should it not have been, but it's not a challengeable call, and it's a judgment call, which then just gives more power to the refs, which gives more the fixes in. They wanted this, they wanted that. And how are you supposed to tackle Derrick Henry? like Donnie said, are you just going to watch him walk into the end zone? Now, the other thing that it comes to the competitive committee is that they were angry because the average points was down 5 to 6 points from 22 to 23. So they're almost like saying, oh, sorry, defense, for being so good at your jobs and getting to the quarterback and defending well. Let's give a reason to get the offense more points. When here's the real problem. There's not 32 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. We talked about it last week with Justin Fields being a backup. He is not, or I'm sorry, Justin Fields is a top 32 quarterback. Wow, that was a big one.
Is it echo?
Hey.
But, you know, the league average is down in points, not 32 top-tier quarterbacks, and that's why offense is down. So this rule stinks. In reference to the kickoff rule, the only negative is that teams have to announce if they're onside kicking. So then you can't do the surprise onside kick, which is the reason why the New Orleans Saints won the Super Bowl 10 to 15 years ago, which was awesome. When they opened up the second half with a surprise onside kick. It's still 84% kickoff as touchbacks. So I still think that number is going to be high, but for the players that do decide to run out, it at least is a different way for the viewers to be watching it. They did give examples from the XFL for how the kickoff will happen. So it is exciting, but I still think with the power of the kickers, they're still going to be 80%, touchbacks.
All right.
Penalized for the touchbacks, though. That's the key part. You get it to 35 now.
Yeah. Wait, you get it to 35 or the 25?
35 now. That's the penalty for getting the touchback. So it's going to be just about everybody is going to have a kick return there. Which is
much.
I didn't see that. So you're saying if it's a touchback, it goes to the 35-yard line?
Correct.
Oh,
that's why there's the landing. Yeah, otherwise, you're right, Sam. It would be insignificant. Like, hey, we're going to make all these changes. You're like, the hell changes you're going to make? These guys are going to put it in the seats anyway.
I didn't
if you do that now, it's a penalty. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that part. Okay. That's a big variable. In that case, let's go Devin Hester.
Exactly.
Donnie, JDS is asking you a couple questions here. He wants to know, at what age did you realize you were going to make a career in the sports betting industry, and what type of work did you do prior to this?
It's interesting. I never really like bringing up because, again, gambling wasn't really in the forefront back in the day. So the thought process of being on the air and talking about gambling was like, hey, that's probably not going to happen. But hey, 2017 happened with legalized gambling. The offshore market's always been really big since the internet came along around, let's just say, 98, 99, and 2000. A lot of these sites were popping up and good for us. But to be honest, I went to college and I was a history major, but I never really wanted to be like a teacher or anything with that. I just didn't want to do math, quite frankly. So graduated from college, actually went into the finance business and was a mortgage loan broker for 8 years. After those 8 years, I said, you know what? I'm not really a salesman. I don't enjoy this every day. It was good money. Bought a couple hoagie franchises in New Jersey and ran them for about a decade. And while I was doing that, started prepping online, getting my tools together, learning how to use YouTube, practicing and handicapping and doing all that stuff. So when I sold those businesses in 2016, I was able to go full time in this business by being on the air, doing shows and all that stuff. You need a lot of good luck in this business, but also a lot of hard work. And a lot of people, it's hard just to get in front of the camera to be able to speak. I never took any communications classes that taught me anything. I'm basically self-made at this point, but what a life it's been. And I wouldn't have changed it any other way.
All right, awesome, and thank you for that insight, Donnie. That was great. And Sammy, let's jump in last but certainly not least before we get out of here. Let's talk a little bit about this Jonte Porter issue with the Raptors and the supposed point shaving. And what are you thinking here? Well, what's really going on?
Yeah, it's just like the Ohanti debacle. Players are starting to play their own player props. I think the one guy in college that got caught was betting on himself, which is just like the ultimate thing you can't be doing. I think the president of college basketball came out today to try and ban college or sports books from having college props available for these player props. But, again, we're going to be talking about this every week, every other week with these controversies. When every single commercial, when every single arena, when every single is sponsored by DraftKings, FanDuel, Bet365, and it's just blasted in your face, what do you think these players are going to do? Now, even though they're all multimillionaires, well, they still have off season and they still have other hobbies that they like to do, or they like to try to find an edge. So if they got a friend or a brother or someone that they trust that can throw bets in for them, you just got to find ways to hide it. But when you're throwing $50,000 on some random player prop,
really,
it. So if you're going to be doing this, you have to do it a smart way. But those guys, they are not professional gamblers, so they're not smart in how they're trying to be decisive to beat the system.
Right. Pipe, what's your take on this?
I'm sorry, I was away.
No. What's your take on this whole Jonte Porter, player prop,
I
player
think
prop
he knew
issue?
something. He wasn't in the game 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the game a few minutes, and then he left with injury, supposed injury, and so forth.
But the prop is on the
No.
under, which is the big deal. If
No,
the prop is
that
on
was
the over,
suspicious betting, and something got triggered. He knew.
Probably so. Donnie, last but certainly not least, what's your take on this?
Look, everybody gambles now, and the good part about this is going to weed out the dumb basketball players that think it's worth it to put down a couple $100 or a couple thousand on their own props that they're never going to get found out. And particularly what Pipe's talking about is, look, they're going to look first if there's major betting activity on a player that's not that good on his unders, and if he plays 32 minutes and doesn't score, it's like, he probably just stinks. But if he comes in the game for like 4 minutes and exits because he was sick or not feeling well, they're going to flag that right away, whether you did it or not at that point here. But this is why I like it. We're all online. We all watch these things. We're all handicappers. We can spot this, which is a good thing here, which means that moving forward, players are going to get second thoughts about, hey, should I make a couple $1,000 tonight and risk my entire career? Or maybe not. Let's play this thing out. So I actually like that these instances are coming up now because we can get rid of them quickly and players will learn the hard way that if you do bet on yourself for your games, a la Calvin Ridley there, who's betting a couple $1,000, cost himself millions in being suspended, maybe they'll think twice.
Exactly. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and we will see you guys on the forum. Best of luck with all your action.
Let's go.